Alcohol addiction, problem with drinking, probably the stuff is going pretty much long time in your life, or maybe get to the point right now when you're thinking it's taking over my life, and you're constantly failing at getting sober. You've done your kind of a first treatment as a therapist, maybe you join some groups, you know some stuff, you know how triggers are working, you know how cravings are working, you got a little bit of knowledge, but you're constantly failing. You're not getting to the point when you want to achieve that sobriety, be sober, you're doing relapses. Maybe there is something you missed, and that something is nothing else but fear of getting sober. Let me take you to the few things and let me show you a different way and a different approach to understanding why and how this alcohol is getting you so much. When we talk about the fear, I'm not saying that everyone has to go through all of them, but you might find yourself that at least one of them sits with you. First one I would like to hit is the fear of happening. When you hangover, or you're in that moment when you definitely want to stop because you don't feel pretty much well. And I'm not even talking about, feeling well when you're actually drinking, then you're hangover. We're talking about getting well in general. Because as we know, and as you can feel it, when you are using alcohol for the longer time, then it starts taking toll on you, right? So you feel tired, you're not sleeping well, your nutrition, your eating, your food and all the stuff gets behind as well, because when you drink you might not be eating enough, or maybe it goes even the other way around. Let's say that you're drinking and you're eating even more, so that creates the situation that you're putting extra weight, for instance. So whatever that is, the thing is, the fear of happening gets to you, because when you jump on a sobriety mode, that stuff starts being real. And after some time, when you don't drink, you start feeling better, because that's how our bodies are working, right? You take the poison away from you, and then automatically your body starts repairing. So on the way, when the body starts repairing, you start feeling better. When you start feeling better, then you got second thoughts. Once you've got second thoughts, you're thinking, oh, maybe I'm not that bad, and you're going back again to that routine. So that's constantly happening, and from time to time you've got the kind of a thinking in the back of your head that, what do you mean? Well, it's like I'm getting sober and now I'm not gonna be drinking anymore. And it's like, well, yes, I know that I wanted that so bad, but now when it starts happening, you got a little bit afraid, you got a little bit scared, because everything you've been thinking about the sobriety, it's kind of a looking different way. So yes, it's not only about stopping drinking, it's about all the changes are going around you. But the thing is, you and your life is changing, but not the life and not anything which was happening around you. Okay, it might be some like indirect changes. I mean, when you're meeting with some crew, with some people, now they hearing that you're not drinking, so they might not want to interact as much with you, because now let's say that you're not gonna be the fun, right? Because when you've been drinking, that you're gonna be kind of speaking same language. When you're not drinking, well, it's not gonna be that kind of understanding, because you got something like that. When the people are drunk, you ever try to give a conversation to someone which is drunk and you're sober? That's exactly what we have in here. So there is a lot of things will be looking completely different, all right? And you not might be kind of ready for it in terms of thinking about it, because you have some kind of a fear that stuff happens, and it's not like I stopped drinking but everything around me stays as it was. Well, that's what we're thinking, but unfortunately it ain't gonna be like that. It's gonna be like a big remodel. Everything's gonna be changed, and specifically from your perspective, because any other people and any other situations, you will find out something which is very sad. They can easily deal with their drinking without you now, because what they're gonna be doing, they're gonna be looking for someone they can drink with. If they will need to replace you, they will replace you with someone else, because unfortunately, this is kind of a slap in the face for you in a life kind of a situation, telling you and showing you that unfortunately we've been gathering together with a drinking people because all they've been looking for is just drinking. Yeah, I know it's sad, but it looks like that, unfortunately. And that kind of a reality be scary to some people. Fear of happening, fear of changes, and you are kind of not ready for it. So sometimes you're gonna be like in a position that you're gonna be pushed towards the drinking as well. And that is something which you're not ready for. You need to remember that this is kind of a little bit of shock for you when doing some kind of a new approach to life, and all that with sobriety coming up. But it's as well the shock for other people, which they knowing you only from the side of drinking, and suddenly there's a glitch. Well, I know it's you. I can hear you, or I cannot see you. I can see you, but I cannot hear you, because like someone is putting a kind of a different person to the body I see, or there's kind of a personality problem, specifically for the people which they've been drinking, because now you acting different to whatever they know, and they feeling a little bit uncomfortable. You've been uncomfortable because you're in a new position in your life for yourself, because you want to change something, and they are unfortunately uncomfortable because they don't know how to deal with that, because the only thing they knew about you was just drinking. Another one which can get you, it's fear of decision. So this is like, as I spoke about them being drinking and trying to be sober, and just basically speaking, trying to get back to the moderation mode when you passed that moderation mode ages ago, because now you kind of constantly drinking or drinking very often. So you actually moderate being sober rather than drinking, if that makes sense. So your times when you actually not drinking are very few into comparison when you're drinking. So let's say you may be 1 day sober for the whole week, or at least if you're not totally drunk, that at least you have to touch something every day. You're coming up with idea, I don't drink too much, I just have 2 beers a day, and there you go. So that's something when it gets to the point that you might be saying that you're not ready for the decision, but actually you are afraid the decision, because you're afraid, if I will stop drinking, that means, what do you mean? I'm not gonna have anymore to the rest of my life? Really? Not even a drop? Well, yeah, because this is kind of a change when you're changing yourself. You cannot change yourself if you don't want to commit it 100%. And if you're gonna put yourself in a position that you wanna commit yourself 100% or even 110%, then all these changes, they're gonna start working for you. Okay, but that has to be the firm decision. Okay, like with a newborn baby, you have to cut the cord. You can't be attached anymore, because you just jump to the new world and you have to move on at some point. But the first stage is to cut the cord, which means to make a decision that you don't drink anymore. And this is when it comes to the point of the fear of decision, because one, it's kind of a scary, I don't know where I'm going. Well, I have a rough knowledge about it, but maybe you don't have enough information in general, because you might have information only in totally, I don't drink, so that means I'm not gonna be doing something, I'm not gonna be interested with anything which is involved with drinking. And then you might have some good memories with alcohol, maybe partying in the past and stuff like that. I'm not saying that, because not everything is a wrong or a bad experience. But the thing is, the more you sit with alcohol, it's gonna take more away from you. Okay, so whatever's supposed to be the relaxation becomes like everyday thing, or very, very often. And once you do that, then you're acting certain ways, you're doing certain things, and your money don't click, your life does not look exactly how you actually imagine yourself, or you're not acting the specific way. So deep down you know what you're supposed to do, but you would like to still negotiate with yourself, and this is that fear of decision. Okay, so when you're coming up to the point where next Monday, next payday, next month, next year, from my birthday, and so on and so on. So all that procrastination, so we can call it, that would be basically the fear of decision. Because you know that if you decide 100%, that means you will have to cut and stop completely. But the fear comes in, you have, overthinking, and that can as well create that situation that you are in that loop, that I would like to stop drinking, but I still would like to have some, and so on and so on. So this is how you see how that fear of decision actually is kind of attacking you, and you're not being actually happy with it, because you know what you're supposed to do, but because of that fear of decision, that's why nothing is happening. Fear of rejection, that's one of the important things as well, which you might feel, because you can think that within the time when you drink, and you because majority people will establish some kind of a group around themselves, which they drink in, they meeting, or they like to spend time together, because obviously it would be an alcohol involved with that. I'm not saying that you meet people just only to drink with. That is the case as well, but you might get some like fruitful things being done around as well. So let's say you've been working on some project, because alcohol is actually introduced everywhere these days. That's how we, as a human beings, we did that. We are using alcohol for celebration. You're going somewhere, there's a sport event, there's a drinking. You're going for some kind of a Christmas party, it's going to be the drinking. People giving themselves gifts and stuff, so alcohol is like you're doing someone's favor, so they want to thank you for it. They offering you a drink, because and it's like there's plenty of things like that. And now you kind of being around the people they drinking, and being around people as well. So this is the crew you've built up around yourself, and now you are not drinking, and you're afraid that you're gonna have a rejection from the crew, rejection from the people. It's just because, or even the judgment itself coming up, because it takes a lot of guts to tell and to say loud out that you have a problem with alcohol, right? Because people are identifying the alcohol addiction different way. If, for instance, someone is drinking but still pays the bills, and taking care of the family, and so much and so much, then that might be not considered as an alcohol addiction, even if it's going to be drinking every day. It's just because everything's done. Well, that will be more coming up to the typical explanation of how high functional alcoholic look like. But then still, society might not be ready for this, to call things a certain way. So wife might say about the husband, I got used to it, that he's okay because he drinks only 3 glasses a day, but he's okay, he's fine, he's treating me well, he's taking care of the house, kids, he brings the money. I'm just using that as an example, and it's like nothing wrong, right? He goes to work, he works hard, so he deserves something, so this is typical, like alcohol looks like a reward. So yeah, this is of coming up to the point of that rejection, fear of rejection, because if you're gonna stop drinking, that means you're not gonna be involved in some stuff. And I've seen that as well. I've seen it, like the crew of people even if this is like family gathering, for instance, they have a people crew of the people they drink in there. There could be one or two people they don't drink, and automatically that crew is not completely interested with having any chat whatsoever with them two people which they not drinking, because there is that missing link, right? The alcohol, which is supposed to help with everything. But the thing is, of course, they will interact with them because, it's a family, so you have to do from time to time because, okay, it's a must. It has to be done. You can't just not speak to someone just because they don't drink. But back in your head, it's like, oh, he doesn't drink with us, so he's not part of our group in this moment, if that makes sense. So thinking of the people has completely different levels in regards of the alcohol, especially if they putting the alcohol as a kind of a high altitude thing that it has to be there, or you're gonna see that someone's gonna make the kind of a fight or scene in terms of the alcohol supposed to be brought, but there is no more alcohol, and something was not organized, and these people are getting very nervous. It's just because they don't have that part that has to be done. Might be not enough food at the house, but if we're missing beer, there's something wrong. So this is that kind of being attached with people which they like to, because we are social creatures, right? We like to spend time with the other people, and this alcohol is being considered like something which is even untangling the tongue so people can speak. I mean, they might not even know each other, but once the alcohol around goes, first round, second round, and people start talking, so it's a smooth and easy talk and things like that. But these are the things that they've been developed by, human, going back to some history time, and that's what it is. But you want to get sober, and all these fears will be coming up behind you. And the fear of rejection is, some people, they introvert, outrovert, whatever. Some people like the people around them, some people they don't like the people around them. But in the majority cases, the alcohol was kind of a something like a mortar, was actually getting people together. So people like them bricks, and alcohol was like a mortar, so it's kind of a getting some shape of something. And now one of them bricks, which it's not actually, it will fit the house, but unfortunately there is no bonding, okay? And that could be another fear of rejection. I'm here to tell you that I had my own fears as well, and pretty much all of them, they've been involved somewhere in some stages of my sobriety. But the truth is, it doesn't really matter, because you, as a person which supposed to get sober and I want to be sober, you have to take the kind of approach that you're gonna be selfish towards others and selfish towards some situations, because you're gonna be looking for the greater good for yourself. Okay? And as I said, once you're hitting your sobriety gear, sobriety mode, that sobriety keeps changing, So you're getting from the point when you pumped up because you want to get sober, you're getting to the point later when you're a little bit confused, because now you see some distance which you don't drink. There is some time, there's time frame which you start thinking, okay, fair enough, if I've done so much time without the drinking, maybe I'll be able to moderate again. Which when you try to do that, unfortunately you're collapsing again. So you start all the exercise of not drinking and getting sober again. Trouble might be that you might not be strong enough or lucky enough to get back on a horse of sobriety. Some people relapsed and they never got back, and they getting worse and worse and worse until we know what kind of an end hits it. Then up to 6 months, for instance, you're gonna be kind of fighting with yourself. You've got the tools, you've got the knowledge, but still there is something. There is always something. There's always something which will be gently trying to push you, or you try to question. And if you stay strong, if you find a way how to relieve that stress when it gets to the point when you're thinking maybe about the drinking, but you can kind of brush it off, and keep on doing your sobriety path, then that sobriety keeps changing, right? For better understanding you, for better understanding others. First of all, you need to understand why others are drinking, why you've been drinking. Once you got this point, then you recognize the situations when the drinking might happen and you know how to defend yourself. Okay? Defenses, I mean, defenses everywhere is the same. There's nothing new. The end of the day, everything will be coming down to the point if you will allow to get that drink or not. But it's like with everything. The longer time you spend in sobriety, the better you at it. It's just because you're learning later how to live around it. Okay? You're living around it, you're living above it, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't bother you anymore. You know it's there, but you lost the interest with it. Because it's not giving you what's supposed to, and you've been already in a position and in a place when you've been trying back onto it, and unfortunately that was pushing you back to the place where you don't want to be. And all that, you're being exhausted by trying again to get it back. But the funny bit as well is, once you taste a little bit of sobriety, then you really, really want to go back to it because it feels right. It feels nice. Imagine this. No hangovers. Okay? I'm not gonna, promise you're not gonna have the money problems, but you can see the difference in the finances as well. At least to start up to do something about it. Okay? So you you don't have a situation now that let's say within the first 2 weeks you flog all your money on the alcohol, and now the rest or remaining 2 weeks you're gonna be running and hustling people, try to borrow some money because you got not enough money for food. But the funny bit is always, you might not have enough money for the food, but you will always be able to scrape some money for alcohol, even if you didn't have in the morning when you wake up. There you go. See? So all them fears and all them kind of things that get into your head, they might stop you, and they will be, very, very challenging for you, and they're gonna be stopping you from that sobriety. The only way to achieve the sobriety is not to drink. And if you look on the word fear itself is just it's false evidence of appearing real, to be fair. Okay? Because the end of the day, that sits in your head only. If you have fear of rejection, so what? You're gonna be rejected by some people, right? But you're gonna meet some new people. It's not like suddenly they're gonna stick some kind of a red flag by your house and telling you you're no good because you don't drink. Okay? You might be not good for them people you've been drinking with, but you will find other people which they're not drinking as well, because these people are getting, somehow in your way in your life later. Even if you having a job, some people are, changing jobs, new people are coming or whatever. You changing job, you going somewhere, you always will meet some people. And when you're meeting them people as a fresh start, if they will find out, for instance, that you're not drinking, for them it's no problem because they don't know you anyway. They don't know nothing about you. They don't know your history. I mean, if you want to share it, fair enough. If you don't want to share it, it's okay. It's on you. It's fine. It's nothing wrong with that. But then you will find out as well that then people knowing about you, that you're not doing something, you're not gonna be looking like a freak for them, because they never, they never knew that you've been drinking. They never knew you had a problem with drinking. Or sometimes even when you kind of drop the word somewhere that you're drinking alcohol, and the people look at each other and say, "You really?" No, I wouldn't say. So you see, all them fears of changes, for instance, what's the problem? Changes? Our lives are constantly changing. The changes are part of life. If you look in your life, how many changes you had, something done with it, and you still, come up well on the other side, you still, whatever the change was, you've been able to adapt yourself to it. So that's not a problem. You're not kind of losing value. I'm not saying that you didn't have a value as a person who's drinking. and only the sober people that have a value. No, everyone has a value in it, but you kind of looking for something else in your life, and you find it because you're looking at yourself from a completely different perspective that you never seen before. You never seen that potential. It's still you, right? It's just, but it's a different you. And majority cases, it will be a little bit better version of you. So once you've been drinking, you're making some decisions. They might maybe not been wise. When you're sober, you're making some decisions, and you're doing kind of a, legally proper decisions that you're happy with it, what you're doing. And if, let's say, this decision does not look good, you might come up with different one. When you're drunk, you usually come in with the idea, whatever, yeah, let's do it, this and that, such and such. And sometimes that becomes very bad outcome. So you see all them fears which they sitting in you. I know everyone needs his own time to overcome them fears, because just because some guy said something, that doesn't mean it's gonna work right away. And it doesn't majority cases, because you need the time to kind of digest that information, to find the way how to line up the plan, how to start doing things, and everything takes time. But you had the time, right? You spend so much time drinking that you probably didn't care majority cases about nothing, and now you have a time actually to be and to have that kind of a challenge, but as well the reward of making decision by you. Okay, it's not a decision by random happening situations, or just because you've been pushed to the corner and now you have to make a decision about something. In here is different, because you have time to think through, to plan, to adopt some plan, to create some kind of a way of doing something. Whatever you do now, if it doesn't work, you can always adjust, change, and again you make another decision. So you see, the fear of decision is totally not needed. The alcohol itself, unfortunately, switches off. It switched off a lot of stuff within us. So our full potential is being stopped. It's just because, you're being intoxicated, so you less care about anything, and until, let's say, you pass out or something, then alcohol makes you waste a lot of time as well. And then imagine you're drinking, then you had a hangover, so you need the time, so you're gonna get better. So all the time when you've been drinking, for instance, and all the time when you're getting better, look how much time that was eaten in your life, but you actually didn't do nothing, fruitful for your life. So now you can do, unless you don't want to do any much, with your life, but still, the drinking doesn't help. And if you don't drink, you will have, the ability to see other side. And I really must admit that the other side, first of all the fears you have, they will go away, and the other side looks really good. Because from the point of anyone who's drinking, if they hear about someone who's not drinking, they thinking that these people, they don't have a life. They do, because they might be doing completely different stuff. So it's not everything being, is to put it into one bucket. It doesn't work that way. I can promise you one thing: any fear you have, you can actually break it down to small pieces, work on it, and it will go away. At the end of the day, anytime you decide that you want to get sober and you stay on that path of sobriety, you're winning. And you're winning the grand prize, the life. You're drinking, the kind of a shot in your life. I hope this video was beneficial for you. If you want to drop some, kind of information or insight in the comments, please do. If you're interested with more, you know what to do. I wish you sober evening, sober day, sober week, sober month, sober year, and hopefully sober life. Take care of yourself. I'll catch you later.